here to discuss a full season of NBA action from Yahoo Sports. We always enjoy when he gives us time. He's a busy guy, not always possible, but we love when he's on. Adrian Wojnarowski. Adrian, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Tim, Sid, I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Good. The Heat are going to win again, right?
Sure. I think that, and I'll keep picking them until they lose here in the East, but I think that, Chicago is very, very good and very hungry, as is Indiana. And I think those teams, especially the Bulls, their window with this group and their future with Luol Deng is very much in the air. He may very well leave as a free agent this summer, and their team could look very different. And I think as a group, this might be their best last chance to win one. And, certainly with Miami, it'll hinge on Dwayne Wade's health and, how Ray Allen continues to age. But, all the other factors for Miami, like what does everyone else do when LeBron keeps getting better or LeBron keeps doing more? He mitigates a lot of the other issues that they have sometimes.
Do we know what to expect from Derrick Rose?
I think he's going to be really, really good right away. I think he's going to be – you can see the explosion back. He's shooting the ball, and this was something he had promised, and people who had been with him in the summer and working was that, all the time he put into his skill development, and especially his shooting, his jump shot, and you saw it in the preseason. He shot, I think, like 12 for 23 on three-pointers. Now, he's not going to keep shooting at that clip, but he has improved in that area. His vertical jump has actually improved. And so the timing and the rust and those things will still come, but he was playing at a different speed in the preseason. He was out to prove to people that he was back, and when everyone else was still going at half speed or three-quarter speed, everyone else will be playing hard tonight and going forward. But I think he's going to be great, and, he's going to be, maybe not in this first month, but I don't think it's going to be long before he's his old self and maybe even better in some areas.
Adrian Wojnarowski of Yahoo Sports here on Tim and Sid Sportsnet 590 The Fan. The NBA regular season does begin tonight, and the front end of TNT's doubleheader. You can see both games of the doubleheader on Sportsnet 360. Will be the Bulls in Miami. The ring ceremony before that game will be, I'm sure, spectacular and maybe a little longer than it should be.
Right.
I know Tom Thibodeau and the Bulls will be in the dressing room. They will not be out for that. And LeBron James, even this week, Adrian said he's kind of, opening night, ring ceremony. Sometimes it takes a lot out of a team. Is there another way to do this, or does it have to get done the opening night?
I guess it could be done. I guess you could do a separate, would people buy tickets for a separate evening to do this? I don't know. It's just sort of been the tradition, but it is when, you don't want to get sentimental and maudlin and emotional when you're about to play a game. It's, you're celebrating last year, but you got a team across the court that wants to pound your head this year. You can see why teams don't want it. Jason Kidd had his retirement, ceremony in Brooklyn, and he insisted it be in the preseason. He said, that's a little bit different, but he said, it's just a distraction that this team is going to have enough distractions this year.
Right.
And I don't want it to be about me. Let's get this out of the way in the preseason, and I don't want to do this on a regular season night.
Bulls and Heat going tonight in Miami, followed by the Clippers and the Lakers on Sportsnet 360. I've seen some power rankings, Adrian, that have the Lakers below the Raptors with Kobe on the mend. Are they that bad?
Yeah, I think they are. I really do.
Wow.
Because you've got, obviously, no Kobe. Steve Nash with his injuries and how much can he give them right now. And then just a hodgepodge of guys around Paul Gasol. I don't think that's far-fetched to put them behind, if we're assuming no Kobe, you don't know what you're going to get with Nash. I mean, he's a 40-year-old point guard. And as great as he's been, you've seen his, the injuries have taken a toll on his body. I don't see any scenario where they're a playoff team.
Adrian, it's like, looking back on it now, based on what you just said, based on what's going on in the last offseason and full season, the Dwight Howard, Nash, Kobe thing was one of the biggest disasters that organizations ever tried to pull off.
It was. And I was always told that Mitch Kupchak was not enthusiastic about the Nash deal when they did it because they gave away two future first-round picks. and he was hesitant to do that. And now, when they need an infusion of young talent, they went all in for 1 year. Listen, I don't think in their wildest dreams they ever thought Dwight was going to leave after a year. That a player of that stature, you just don't leave Los Angeles. But right away, it became clear that it was not a good fit. And if he wanted to win, he could win quickest somewhere else. And you're right, it was a disaster. And I wrote it at the time, before they got together, right when they got together, and then, Kobe and Dwight always knew they weren't a fit for each other. They knew that. They never had illusions that was a partnership that could flourish. And that was why Dwight always had the Lakers third on his list. He wanted to go to Brooklyn. He really had, even Dallas ahead of the Lakers, and when he had the list of three. And Kobe knew it. They'd been around each other enough to know that their personalities, the way they approached the game, their leadership styles just didn't match. And I remember Kobe saying to me at the Olympics the day that, I guess right when the Dwight trade got done to the Lakers, Dwight's clowning around and his lightheartedness, which was not going to work in L.A. It was going to play very differently than it did in Orlando. And I remember Kobe saying, well, he'll learn that in L.A., every game is treated, I'm paraphrasing, but that every day you are scrutinized, on winning and losing, and there's a microscope on you there that will not allow you to do that. But, look, Dwight was going to be Dwight, and it just never worked. If they were winning, I think they could have coexisted, but once they started losing, and, that relationship just couldn't, and the Nash-Dwight relationship wasn't very good either.
But in hindsight, it was so, all the twit pics that were sent out about how they're all good with each other, right? Hey,
Exactly.
He's on a trader's table and we're fighting. Waka waka. Just such garbage, right, Adrian? Just the whole thing. You're right. The whole thing was a ruse.
It was. And they just, and it's funny, somebody said to me who has been with Dwight elsewhere in the NBA that they really wondered whether Kobe and Steve Nash ever really realized how they never saw Dwight at his best. And it was a combination of still working through the injuries last year, still, trying to figure out how he fit there. His attitude wasn't always great, but physically he was coming back from pretty serious back surgery, that they may not have fought hard enough to keep him because they hadn't been with him in Orlando and saw night in, night out. They played him a couple times a year when they were in the West, but maybe they didn't truly understand how dominant he can be when he's right and healthy. And we'll see if we see that Dwight this year again.
Before we let you go in less than a minute here, I know that Doc's already made a difference because Chris Paul is still a member of the Clippers, but where do you put the Clippers in the West right now?
They're definitely top three, and I think two things. One, Blake Griffin's development, his maturity, and then him expanding his game, and then DeAndre Jordan's focus, and is he going to be a rebounder, a defender, do the things he's good at, clog up the middle for them, and embrace that role. So far, it's been great with Doc and the way Doc has handled him, but they haven't lost the game. He hasn't gotten booed. He hasn't gotten ripped in the media. So we'll wait and see when there's some adversity in L.A., how Griffin and how Jordan respond to that.
Adrian, whenever we get you on, we know it's about that time. It's going to be a fun year again, and hopefully we can talk to you many times throughout. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Talk to you soon. Thanks for having me.